Okay, this video is part 2 of scrolling. The first video I talked about was about how to scroll using your finger or mouse click. So if you're on an Android device, you can tap on the screen, it'll scroll back and forth, slowly or fast, depending on the two codes that you wanted to use. Or you can use the mouse to click on the left or right side to move. In this situation, it's talking about buttons, so you're able to scroll using the buttons, and I like this method better. It's a lot easier to move back and forth and stop. So let me show you what I'm talking about. So there's two buttons here. Right now I can't move to the left because it's stopped. It's at a wall here. There's like a slider that's invisible that has bumped up against the wall, and I can't move any further because this is the beginning. Then I'm able to move this way, and then at the very end it's going to stop. Basically there's a slider that's invisible that hits another wall here, and it allows me to stop, and it won't let me go any further. Then I'm able to go back. I'm going to let go and it stops. Back, let go. Forward and it stops. So I like this method better. And basically it's just basically a kind of like a game setup where it's like a bird's eye view where you see the character, and you know how camera view follows the character. Well, I did the same thing here, but in this situation I did it for a sliding device. So there's a character here that's invisible that he just moves with the camera view off screen, and then the camera view follows him off screen to the next portion of the room. So let me show you how I did that. It's pretty simple. Alright, so like I said, here you have your device, your mover here, and so the slider is not visible. When it comes in contact with the wall is this pink box here. It's on this side as well as on that side, so that means it can't go any further than that. It will stop. So I did a collision with wall, add event collision with wall, and then I grabbed a move free and I set it to self, and directions 0, speed 0, and you don't have to have relatives checked. I used this move free over versus using the move fix, because somehow if you use the move fix, somehow he'll get stuck in the wall and he can't get out. So that's why I used the move free, so it doesn't get stuck in the wall. And the wall is set up where it's going to be solid. Make sure that's checked solid. That's all you need. Make sure it's not visible in the room. And these images here are just this object image right here. It doesn't do anything. I just depths at -3, and I just scale this image out to make it this size. Snapped it 50 to 50. You probably could also do some sliders for your inventory as well. You want to have a lot of items in your room, you can slide it back and forth. See, or it can be an emulator, of course, which is what I'm going to use mine for. Because I got several games that it's an app emulator that I have several games that go to a website. You can download it. So basically, each one of these squares would represent a game. You tap on it, and then it would jump to the website, and then you're able to download it from there. And it talks about the game as well. Alright, so then you have these buttons here. These buttons do have to move. Well, let me finish the slider real quick. The object slider. So in the settings here, let's see. Now it's going to be in the view. In the view, you have enabled use of view. You have clear background view window checked and then visible in room. Width and height is at 3300, height 1991. Repeat, same with port and screen. Make sure that your camera view is set to object slider because you want the camera view to follow this green slider here. And then your H bore and V bore is going to be set to 3200 here. That allows the slider to move off screen quicker. If you change this to 100 or 200 or whatever, then it takes longer for the camera view to follow the slider off the screen, and you don't want that. You want it to happen pretty much automatic when you press the button. So that's why this is pretty high. Alright, and then object rights, I have a step event in there, and then you have the X view and the Y view fixed at 2700 to 1280. This is pretty much the positioning of where I want the buttons to be at in the room, and this will also follow the camera view, which is what you want. So you have to have the step event in there as well as the draw event, and I've talked about this in my previous videos. Make sure the numbers are matching up with what the step event says. So when the camera view follows the slider, the buttons move along with it. Then when you press the button down, I have it set to object slider because that's what you want. What you want the button to control is the object sliders, and I have the direction going right to 50 speed. Then when you release, object slider is the object, and then directions in the middle, speed 0. Depth of the buttons minus 50 because you want to make sure that's above everything else so it doesn't interfere with your other items in the room. And then same thing applies with the left side step event, but in this situation the numbers are different because you want it to move this. You want the button to be more on the left of the screen, so these numbers are going to be smaller. Well, of course, the X view will, the Y view will stay the same as the right. It's talking about going to be the vertical positioning, and the X is the horizontal positioning. And then you have the draw event, which is the same numbers. And then you have left press, and then make sure it's set to object slider because you want it to control the object slider, not the button. If you set it itself, it's going to move the button. You want to make sure it's set to object slider, so it'll move the object slider, not the button. Make sure, and then it's going to go to left, speed 50, speed 50. Then left release, it's going to be object slider, and then in the middle, speed 0. And like I said, once it hits this wall, it's going to stop, not move anymore. And the object slider doesn't have any create event, doesn't have a fixed speed in there. It just collides with the wall. So if I make this object slider visible, just to give you an idea, let me show you real quick again. So now you see the green square where it's located at, but like I said, you don't want that visible in the room. But see how it moves back and forth, and see then it stops there. It won't go any further. You probably could make this slider go faster, that way when you press the button it moves quicker on the screen. Just gotta adjust it to your liking. Then it stops when you let go of the button. So I feel like this approach, for me anyways, is better than using the code that I talked about in part 1. Because for some reason the code, when you let go of when you don't touch the screen, somehow it still moves. It doesn't stop completely. So in my opinion, I like the buttons better. And that's pretty much it. Thanks for watching.